Welcome back to another Spilldrop tutorial. Today I'm going to be showcasing a few different designs of what I like to call super cubes. However, in this case, since they're not all cubes, I'm just going to refer to them as modules. Now, these modules are designed to be incorporated into any existing Rust base. You may need to be a little bit selective about how you add these modules, and I'll explain that a little bit more as we go. Now, to start things off, I'm going to show you a pretty basic storage module that I've got here. This is a variant of some of the modules you've seen in the past in Supercube videos. Up top, you can see we've got 4 horizontal barrels here that you can reach from on top of this campfire here. Just gives you a little bit of a better angle to see back here to this barrel here. And you can see I've got bone clubs set up in these back barrels just to show you that you can reach both of them pretty easily. We've also got a barbecue grill here with a box underneath for extra food storage. And down under this shelf, it gets a little noisy in here, so let me go ahead and turn this down. We've got a water purifier back here all the way up against the corner, and this is set up specifically so that you have access from outside of the base back here. So you can see I can access the bucket here where the purified water ends up, and then using a water jug I can fill up this water catcher here. This is a pretty limited use case scenario. I can't really imagine a lot of ways where this would be super practical, but from inside you can still access the purifier here. You can fill it up with either pure or salt water, and then when the fire is on, it will obviously purify any salt water and fill up that bucket down there. Also down here, I've got a cauldron. These two campfires basically right on top of each other. The cauldron has such a great hitbox as a deployable that you can just put stuff right over the top of it. As you can see, this small box kind of bumps right up over it there, and this one fits in pretty nicely. I've also got one of these Twitch rival trophies down here. It provides a little bit of extra comfort. I'll show you if I turn this fire off. You'll see the comfort level is increasing pretty quickly down the bottom right hand corner. For the rest of this space, I've just got some weapon racks so that you can store some extra weapons or tools down here. Now this module is one that I use quite a lot in my base designs, and this is the crude oil refinery jump up with some modifications. As you can see down here, I've got 2 of these tier 1 weapon racks squeezed in around the refinery, which really only works on very, very flat terrain. This is a very, very flat area of the map, so this sort of area down by the water, or perhaps a frozen lake, would be the best application for this design. You can see I've also got a drop box down here which can be used to deposit crude oil and wood, have it pump through those conveyors there into the refinery and then back out into this drop box for collection. I've also got a weapon rack here. You can see that it squeezes in pretty nicely. Unfortunately, with the lighting bug on these weapon racks, even though it is getting power, it's got some issues with how that's being reflected on the model itself, so just take my word for it. All of these weapon racks are tied into the electrical grid, even if they don't really look like it. I also have 2 of these floating weapon racks. Only 2 were able to fit here, but you can also put 1 or 2 back there depending on where you place your conveyors. Another thing you can add to this design if you so choose is your drone. Put it right down there. It doesn't interfere with your movement around this little module here. It doesn't stop you or slow you down, but it is pretty nicely out of the way. Let me go ahead and pick this one up. Don't know what causes those things to break sometimes. It's a mystery to me, but you can see that you can place a drone just like that, and it's a happy little guy. It's out of the way and you can always pick it up when you need it. Now on top of the jump up, I've got some low grade based furnaces here tied into an automated system. I don't have my automation fully set up for these models, but you get the idea of how it would work if it was incorporated into an automated system. And above these low grade furnaces furnaces, the space on this wall is a little bit limited with what you can do to it, so I have used that space for additional conveyors. If you have a fully industrialized base, you'll know that you do run through conveyors pretty quickly, so having a good space to store them like this can be very, very helpful later on. And now up here I've got just a couple of funny modules to look at. I've got a conceptual upper shelf farming area here. I've learned that the stone, brick, and adobe ramps have a little bit of space right at the front, just before this reinforcement beam you see here, and you can actually slide a medium battery up in here very easily, and it's almost fully concealed behind the garage door up here. I've also got a sprinkler behind it there and a light here, so you can have a little garden patch up here as long as you make sure that your lighting and watering systems line up correctly. You can also put another planter box there, but I took it out so you could see the placement of this medium battery here. With the door closed, obviously you can still see the battery through the door just a little bit there, but it's a very interesting place to put one of these deployable batteries, so I thought I would go ahead and include it here in case that gives someone some inspiration. Another pretty silly module we've got is this one, which features a cauldron, of course, a research table, and a grow bed. Now, this large planter box here deploys right over the top of all of these things. It's actually quite simple, and you can do so with either the default planter box or the skinned planter box from the DLC, and they plop down just right into this space very nicely. Now over here I've got a salvaged shelf module. This is a deployable I've been experimenting with a little bit more frequently. For the sake of density and efficiency, it really is a tough to beat deployable for the fact that it gives you a shelf in only half of the room and gives you a little bit of utility in the other half still. So in this module I've got 4 barrels, the vertical orientation, so they take up a little bit less space this way, with 2 of the medium batteries back here. I've got 2 electric furnaces with some components as well, just to show that you can utilize this space for industrials, or if you like, you can use weapon racks in that empty space as well, like I've got here. And this is one of my favorite modules that I've designed recently. This is my electric furnace module, a new variant of the Super Forge, I guess you could say. It includes 10 electric furnaces and their adapters on one salvaged shelf. Very cozy, very compact. I've also included a large battery in this space. I've set it up this way so it's a little easier to see everything that's included here. A horizontal barrel with adapters, and a weapon rack, of course, here for the extra storage in this otherwise unused space. I'll be doing a full build out for this module in my upcoming Art of Rust video, so please check that out when it goes live. You will not want to miss the awesome fun that we have in that server. Please check back when that video goes live and you'll see exactly how a module like this comes together in a proper furnace room. Now over here, I've got a tool cupboard room design that utilizes triangles. So it's not a super cube per se, but it is still quite super and very efficient. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to get all of these components to tuck away behind this garage door completely, so you can still see and access some of them. But for 9 electric furnaces in a 2 triangle space, that's still pretty good. We've also got 3 horizontal barrels down here, all with their own respective adapters, and then tucked back in here, of course, is your tool cupboard with the requisite upkeep. With this module, you are a bit limited in how you can access your tool cupboard, which could be challenging for larger groups. This is also an incredibly dense module, so if you want to see a full build out of this design, please let me know in the comments and I will put one together for you. This module is a factory module. It's got a sleeping bag here as a respawn point. It's got some drop boxes and barrels tucked away back in here. It has both a low-grade based furnace to generate charcoal and an electric furnace for a little bit faster smelting times. Adapters, of course, on everything. It's got a tier 2 here in the middle with an industrial auto crafter on it that you can use to craft up to 4 different items at a time automatically. It's got drop boxes down here, one just for goodies, another that can be attached to the industrial system, as well as a locker with adapters here for kit production. You can have all of those tied into these drop boxes and this locker so that your base automatically generates the things that you need to survive in a wipe while you're out playing the game. Now, these factory setups can get very complicated, so again, if you want to see more about how to build a factory like that, just let me know and I'll make an entire video dedicated to it. In your own experimentations with it, I would recommend placing your locker and tier 2 workbench first when you're building this, just to make sure that you've got all of the space that you need for everything else. Once you've got the locker down and the tier 2, I'd recommend putting in this low-grade furnace. Then you can place the shelf and it'll let you place all of these items down below and on top without interfering with the placement of that low-grade furnace there. And last but not least, I've got these 2 modules here, which sort of act as one combined module, since this one's a little bit on the simpler side. Now, I've incorporated a computer desk here with this mixing table, as these are 2 deployables that, due to their size and their specific requirements, can be a little tough to incorporate in your standard base. Neither of these deployables can go underneath a shelf, which really limits the utility of these deployables in a very dense base design, such as the ones that I typically use. However, with this orientation, I've set them up so that you can use the computer desk without blocking access to this chair. You can also use the mixing table and the box underneath it without interfering with the path of movement through this base or creating any unnecessary bottlenecks that you have to jump over. And I've used this space above these deployables, which is also admittedly very limited, to show you that you can stack some of these conveyors in here as well and use that space in a way that might actually provide extra utility. If you're looking for efficiency, this is a pretty good spot to put extra conveyors or other components if you have them. Now, on this side, what you see is a typical tool cupboard cube, except I didn't put a tool cupboard in this design. Instead, I put a workbench where the tool cupboard would normally be, and this is to sort of illustrate that these triangular shelves can fit into a cube with a workbench as long as you place them correctly. With this design, what I did was I placed the workbench first, then put in this shelf, and then stacked everything around it. You can see that you've got 3 horizontal barrels down here. You can reach all the way back to this back one, get all these ones in front. You've also got this small box underneath the tier 3 with an adapter, which is nice. It's no trouble to reach those either. I've also included a turret in this design, inspired by a recent Spoon Kid and Blazed video where their raid was stifled by an internal turret of this sort. If, for example, you want to build a cube like this, I would recommend starting with a twig or wood triangle shelf like this until you get your tier 2 or tier 3 workbench, whichever one you want to lock in this place. That way, if needed, you can always break the shelf, place your workbench, and then replace the shelf at a later time, and it should fit beautifully into this space. So that right there is what you could consider 8 to 10 different modules that can be used in your future base designs. So I can't wait to see what you do with these modules. If you do use these modules in your own builds, I'd love to see some screenshots of how those designs worked out for you and your own personal variants, of course. So don't be shy. Reach out to me in the comments or on Twitter. I'm always there being a menace, probably more than I should. I'll have more of these modules coming out in my adventure series on the Art of Rust server. And when the next Art of Rust server video drops, you'll want to see that one because it's going to be pretty exciting. Without further ado, I'm going to let you get back to Rust. Thanks again for watching another Spilldrop video, and I will catch you in the next one.